down? The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! What's going on? Scallywags, nutmeggers, and you conversationalists, young, old, and in between. And my favorite people in the world, you haters. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. We bid our farewell at the beginning of this program to an icon, a beautiful spirit. Oh, hell, an all-around dime piece. Miss Dolly Parton has passed at age 80. We are just learning, and I'm looking at old footage of her. I said this once on the air. When I was a kid, I thought that Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers were husband and wife. When they performed together or whenever they were on stage together, they just looked like it was like they were inseparable. I only knew Dolly Parton when she was with Kenny Rogers. I didn't know any of her old stuff. I just knew Kenny Rogers was there, Dolly Parton was there. If Kenny Rogers showed up, I was like, hey, where's Dolly? What do you mean they're not together? And they just became a fabric of my childhood growing up. And, you know, she looked phenomenal. I was just looking up the last time I saw her perform. I think we even talked about it here. She was at a Thanksgiving, it was a Thanksgiving football game between the Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. I know they're called the Commandos now, but she performed at the halftime show. And I remember everyone saying, damn, Dolly still looks good. That was just 3 years ago. And sadly, she is gone. She is a legend. I dare you. I dare one of you find something mean to say about Dolly Parton. You can't. You can't. That woman, no matter where she was or where you saw her, she was always a delight. And she had actually one of my favorite lines back in the day. Probably no one ever knew she even said it. But People magazine used to do this thing where they would get celebrity quotes from interviews, whatever it was. And it was really like sort of off the beaten path. You never really, it's just a quote. And one of my favorite ones that Dolly Parton said was, I really loved those Jane Fonda exercise videos. I like to sit on my couch, eat cookies, and watch them. She just had that kind of wit. Everything about her was just fun and fun-loving, and she cared about everybody. She very charitable. Dollywood will live. I think Dollywood right now has just reached iconic levels as an amusement park with her passing. I think it was there before then, but it is way above the fold now. It is sad to see her gone. That's right, Lori. She was generous and genuine. She was, again, absolutely. We just went to Dollywood, Matt says. Really? And that's also true, Lori. She never did. She didn't. Let me tell you how absolutely unflappable Dolly Parton was and remains. She would appear on Fox and Friends at some of the most heightened and volatile times as far as like team sports were concerned in politics. Dolly Parton would still show up on Fox and Friends, and no one would even make a beef about it because they knew that she didn't matter if she was conservative. She never made people on the left feel like they were less than. She was just as genuine to them as she was on with everybody else. You know, she even made it clear. I don't talk about politics. I don't care about politics. I care about people. So, God bless her, man. God bless her family. Her sister's a real stone cold conservative. And you check out some of her tweets. But Dolly Parton, we will miss you. Well, you know, I think you're always going to be. I think there isn't a place where right now you can't look up a Dolly Parton video, just something to reminisce about. I'm looking at her now on Fox News. They're going to play a huge tribute to her. I can't wait. And do we get a Dolly Parton movie now? Can we get a Dolly Parton movie? Who plays her? And if you pick Miley Cyrus, we got a problem. Although she is the only one to have done a rendition of Jolene, that was almost better than the original. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan, but Miley Cyrus did a live version. You can find it. Miley Cyrus did a live version of Jolene, and I didn't even want to like it. I was conflicted. I was like, damn, this is good. It's really good. It's one of my favorite Dolly Parton songs. As you know, I'm sure everybody would agree. So, Lori says, not Jane Fonda. No. Her faith in her impoverishment as a kid was always present in her life, Lori writes. And, yeah, we'll miss her. So, again, our best and our love to Miss Dolly Parton. Icon, legend. And even at 80, still a dime. Still beautiful. Okay. I got to get into this. The place where we are in our news media is kind of sad. And I finally figured out why there's so many people upset at what we do here versus what's being done in the mainstream. I want to take you back a little bit. I'll take you back here. Do you remember in 2009, the Hartford Courant was involved in a major plagiarism scandal? Do you guys remember that? Apparently, the Courant lifted local stories from smaller papers like the Journal-Inquirer, the Bristol Press, New Britain Herald, the Torrington Register-Citizen, the Waterbury Republican-American. Some pieces ran nearly identical with the Courant bylines. They barely gave any attribution to those publications. Did it right in the backyard of those competitors. At the time, I guess the publisher, Richard Graziano, publicly admitted, we have determined that over the last several weeks, the Courant plagiarized the work of some of our competitors. They disciplined staff. The Journal-Inquirer sued. This was not a rogue reporter. It was an institutional aggregation. An aggregation policy that treated other papers' work as free content while selling it as their own journalism. Now they don't even cover the journalism in those publications. When I say they don't even cover the stories, maybe that's a reason, but that was just 2009, folks. In 1998, to go back further, a big Sunday front page treatment claimed family violence was hitting an all-time high and bucking the overall crime drop. The data was wrong. Family violence had peaked years earlier. The story leaned on a one-year increase, a couple of horrific weekend cases and impressions. The paper's own ombudsman later dismantled it in print. No epidemic, wrong numbers, wrong conclusions. Some corrections ran, but the original dramatic framing got the big play. Oh, look, the Hartford Courant again. FBI bugged Hartford Public Library computers. That was in 2002. Hartford County again, wrong election numbers, wrong conclusion on public financing in 2008. Story and editorial claim public financing was boosting participation and that Democrats had skipped only a dozen House races in 2006. Republicans more. A reader checked the official candidate list. Democrats had skipped 27, not 12. The conclusion about the program's effect was therefore off. A correction fixed the raw number but left the broader claim largely intact. Premature and incomplete reporting shaped the political narrative. Well, that's sad, Hartford Current. And then we get to today. Mr. Dan Haar. Dan Haar did a hit piece on Amybeth LaRoche. Amybeth LaRoche sits on the Newtown Board of Finance. Haar did an article on August 21st, and he framed her as a hypocrite for posting an Instagram video criticizing Connecticut's municipal car tax while town records showed that she had unpaid bills herself. But thanks to, again, a publication that got criticized by your very own Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, the Connecticut Centinal did the work that it appears, according to every place the Connecticut Centinal checked, that Dan Haar didn't do. The Sentinel is calling Haar's column opposition research dressed as journalism that protects the Lamont machine while targeting the Republican outsider. LaRoche produced a copy of a signed check made to the town of Newtown tax collectors showing she had mailed payment. The Newtown tax collector confirmed to the Sentinel that her car taxes are paid in full. The office indicated the check could have been delayed or lost in the mail, explaining why online records still showed it outstanding, which is the place where Haar looked. But Haar didn't call the tax collector. You see, looking it up online was enough, even though the records aren't updated in real time. Now, is that bad journalism? Is that horrible journalism? Hell, is it lazy journalism? I would go so far as to say lazy. In fact, it turns out from what I just read, that's the issue. There are no beat reporters who are pounding the pavement, going out and getting sources, interviewing people in real time. Most people are texting, doing it from their lazy couch or lazy boys. But the headline still sits. Where's the retraction? Will there be one? Should the retraction be somewhere buried in a paper in a byline? Of course not. No. And here's why. Here's why. Because this lazy journalism resulted in Amybeth LaRoche getting really horrible things said to her and about her and messages. I thought that was a concern of this administration or people in the like. I thought they thought it was wrong for bad reporting to put people's reputation, if not their lives, in jeopardy. Wasn't that the problem with Miss Melissa Ramirez, allegedly the legal one? Shouldn't the reporters be a little more responsible? I mean, that's the whole problem here, right? How did we get into the case with the Melissa Ramirez thing, right? Was it the work of the Danbury Police Department? Yes. But who were the first people to report and put these things on the record? Well, that was the Connecticut Mirror. Did they do anything wrong? No, they did. They posted exactly what they were given by the police department. But what did Stephanie Thomas tell us? What did Ned Lamont tell us? That we need to trust but verify. Don't just put things out there. Well, what about now? Shouldn't that be happening now? Where are the people telling Dan Haar to correct the record? Where are the people who are asking Dan Haar, where did he gather his information? Because we now, thanks to the Connecticut Centinal, a real paper, they not only provided the information which showed that Amybeth paid the bill, they even have photographs on their website of the canceled checks. Dan Haar didn't produce that. In fact, nothing in his source material says he spoke to anybody. So, my question, Mr. Haar, where did you get your info from? On the website? And does that pass as journalism today? Or were you just doing what you always do, as a lot of journalists do? Will you just play partisan hack job and trying to destroy the woman's career, if not her campaign? When we come back, more of the same with other journalism on issues that are not tragedies or outbreaks. This one will make you laugh. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio here. I'm going to read show a statement. I shouldn't say that. Play a statement from the estate of Dolly Parton. It just posted a little while ago. So I'll put it, they're doing a deep dive over here on Fox News. They have not let up since we went to commercial break talking about that. But I want to finish up with this piece real quick on the press line. You guys heard this whole thing about the measles outbreak? Pennsylvania now is the focus. And the reason why is because yesterday there was talk about a third measles case in Connecticut, and that became everybody's focus. And I have a keen sense for this. I never, ever jump knee-jerk when I hear these stories because I know, I feel it. What? Why is this a thing? What do you mean the third outbreak of me? That's not an outbreak. That doesn't... There's 3.6 million people in this state. What do you mean an outbreak? 3? News 12 put on the chyron like a siren. Third case of measles confirmed. State seeing the highest number of cases since 2019. WFSB used the same line. Patch led with the Hartford County adult. Hartford County adult. NBC Connecticut opened with death. The facts underneath are smaller than the font. Connecticut Department of Health confirmed a third measles case of 2026 on Monday. A Hartford County adult back from international travel, hospitalized with a high fever, then a rash, vaccination status unknown. That's the case. That's the scare. Highest since 2019 is doing a lot of work. In 2019, CDC's own measles update listed Connecticut at 3 cases. This year, the state is there at 3 again. You can call that a tie with the last notable year. You cannot call it a surge without the rest of the sentence. The rest of the sentence is sitting in the state's own files. Connecticut's 2025 to 2026 school immunization survey shows that 98.6% of kindergartners had 2 MMR doses versus 92% nationally. We had 98.6. There were 92.4 nationally. Second in the country That's according to Hearst News Times. They had Commissioner Manisha Juthani on the number not long ago. Quote, "We reached an all-time high," she said. She credited those rates and herd immunity with keeping Connecticut from full-blown outbreak. That brief is not in this week's highest since 2019 package. The CDC lump is the other tell. Unvaccinated or unknown is not the same as unvaccinated. This week's Connecticut patient is the unknown bucket. Treating unknown proof as a movement is how you get a morality play instead of a travel case. Nobody is arguing measles is a cold. 2 MMR doses are highly effective. If you're going overseas with an infant, check the card. That's public health. What local TV did overnight is different. It took a tie with 2019, a vaccinated second case, a 98.6% kindergarten rate, and an unknown shot record, and sold you highest since 2019, plus wildfire quotes. Connecticut is not Texas. Remember that story? Where did it go? But again, this is what I mean by lazy and sensational journalism. Lazy and sensational journalism. Now, some people will argue and say, oh, well, Reese, Connecticut is a boring place. You got to make the news up where you can. Are you kidding me? There's news everywhere. There's news everywhere. I've got a Connecticut corrections officer story I'm working for this week. Yeah, and it's a wild story. About a girl who meets a guy. The girl goes through the guy's phone. Yeah, some real dirty stuff. Yeah, we're going over that story. There's plenty of news. Some people I tell these news stories to, they just roll their eyes. Yeah. Why aren't you reporting on it? Yeah, you could. But they're not. Again, this is lazy and agenda-based. That's the whole deal. You can have a bunch of news stories you can cover. They just don't want to. So I said, we're not going to complain about that here. We're just going to get it done. That's all. That's all you can do. Let me see if I can play this statement from Dolly Parton's family. This young man is on here. Let me get this real quick. That news is going to cover everywhere. Let me see if I can play it here.
Hey, everyone. My name is Brian Seaver, son of Cassie Parton, and I'm representing the Parton and Owens family today, announcing the passing of my Aunt Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, Aunt Granny to one generation and Gigi to the next. This video announcement is something Dolly asked of me years ago, before I fully absorbed it as a future reality. As her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role my father Larry held before me, I have imagined the heaviness of this moment, but haven't truly felt it until now. It is an honor that is mixed with absolute pride and great sadness. But sadness lies with us, not with Dolly. Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens. I first went on the road with Dolly as a kid, getting a taste of the road life in the early 1980s. Dolly opened doors not just for me, but for her entire family to reach the potential we didn't even know was possible. Dolly also opened doors for generations of singers, songwriters, musicians, and dreamers from every walk of life and across every continent. By her example, we believed that anything was possible. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. My family and I have shared a lifetime of beautiful memories with Dolly, but so have you. She has always been on your television, your record player, your CD, and on your phone playlist, becoming an extended part of your family whether you liked it or not. Our family and the team she has entrusted with her legacy will work diligently to ensure her spirit will live with us forever. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil. She farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly, Aunt Granny, Gigi. May God bless Dolly Parton, and may God bless you all. She will always love you.
That's a beautiful ending. She will always love you. Her own song. Goodness gracious. Give it up to that wonderful message. Dolly Parton, 80 years old, died today. See, there's stuff pouring in from Reba McEntire. I will never forget the first time that I met you, and I will never forget our last conversation. Reba McEntire, I will always love you, Reba McEntire. Another person I think is going to go down in the sort of folklore of country music. Another nice individual, Reba McEntire. I can't say she's as nice as Dolly, but Reba McEntire is a close second. I've always been a big fan of hers too. Kind of had a crush on her one time. I'm not going to talk about that. She's got red hair. What are you going to do? It's just a thing. It's a thing. Let me see some messages that are coming in. Let me see. That's from Residence Inn. Okay, that's Gino talking about Annabeth. Okay, yeah, we tried to reach her earlier, my friend. Yeah, we took care of that. My wife, Roseanne, just found out about Dolly Parton, so she's just mentioning that now. She was, again, an incredible woman. How do you not say something great about her? I don't know one person that can say a bad thing about her. Not one. Like, what are you going to say? Like, she didn't play politics enough? I don't think there's anything you can say about her. So, they're playing an old interview of her on America Reports. I don't even know what to say. I feel like, what are you going to do? You're going to play? Do you play Dolly Parton music all day? That's like, what are you going to do? I actually feel, I feel the same way I guess America would have felt when any other icon has died. When Whitney Houston passed away, Kobe Bryant. Dolly just feels different. Not that it's a shock. I guess there's a part of me that's not shocked, but just still saddened by it. What's a world without Dolly? All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. I got a lot of stuff to get into. What is A.G. Tong hiding? And what's Lamont talking about? These people who were picked up in Danbury. He's making these statements about people he doesn't know, but making proclamations that these people were good and pure. I don't know how they could possibly know. And I also want to talk about Jahana Hayes talking about not giving legal advice while giving legal advice. We'll talk about that and much, much more today when we return. It's Reese on the Radio.
It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. That's actually a damn good picture, Craig. I love it when people send me pictures like that. I'm posting it on Facebook as we speak. Let's see, that's there. And let me get one more spot to post it on. There it is, right there. So if you want to see the picture, it's there on Facebook. And you can go to my Facebook page by going to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Now, I got to mention this because I don't do this often, but it has been bugging me for the last 6-7 months. And I said, there isn't enough going on at ReeseOnTheRadio.com. And when I say not enough, it's like I'm always trying to find some way to make it a website worthwhile. So a lot of people don't get to listen to the show when they want to. How do I make that experience available to them? Of course, you can go to WTIC.com and download the Odyssey app, but there's other stuff that you can't do. So we made it available. But we added one more touch. Well, 2 more. Let's try these on for a second. So if you go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com right now, if you haven't gone there yet or lately, go there now. ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Now, why is that important to do? And you can do it on your phone. And in fact, I would really love for you to do it on your phone. On your phone, on your browser, go there, and you're going to see something right at the top there. It's just one little R&R logo with the microphone. Folks, that is the Reese on the Radio app. That's right. It gets better. It gets better. So with the Reese on the Radio app, you can listen to the show, right? You can listen to it live or watch it live, and you still listen to it. Or you can listen to it, the podcast, afterwards. See, you can do both. And then it goes one step further. If you look at the top of the screen, there is a live news ticker that goes right across. All the news and all the views right there. As you're watching, as you go on the app, all the news that's happening across the country is updated right there. So it's just like any other news site, any other website, with the exception of the fact that you get Reese with it. So you get news, you get Reese on the Radio, and you get Reese on the Radio on demand. Just go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, download the app. It's on your phone or your tablet. That's it. That's all you need to do. So you need to, or you want to check out Reese on the Radio? Boom, there it is, right there. So I want to thank me, because I did all the damn work. I was 7 hours at my desk figuring this out. 7 whole hours doing it. So please, download the app. I made it available for you. It updates on its own everything. When I say it updates automatically. Right then, right there. So every new show goes directly there. You, of course, subscribe to the YouTube page. It's on there on the screen. And if not, you can listen to it live. There's an audio podcast version that goes up every day after the show, roughly at about 7:30. That goes up. Oh, and I forgot, the Substack is there as well. If you want to read the Substack stuff, that's also every Sunday at 7:30 in the morning. So that's your Sunday morning reading, plus the show, anytime you want, on demand. And that's the Reese on the Radio app. Just go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Again, I don't know anything. I'm not really savvy, so I've got to walk through that stuff piece by piece. And it's not always best to hire someone to do it because they never do it the way you want to. So I had to learn all of this stuff alone. That scroll, if you're on the site now and you see that news scroll, when I first set it up, that thing was zooming by. Just kept zooming. Goodness gracious. If you're on the computer and you hover over that news story that you see going over there, try this on for size. This is great. If you're on on your phone doing it, you can stop the scroll by touching the news story, and then it'll stay there. If you want it to start again, just click live, and it'll scroll again. So the whole thing, like I said, absolutely interactive. Of course, you can respond to the show there. Send us go into the email and send us a message. So the whole thing is there. Let me see. You did the technicals. You sure it's working? Joey V. Yes. That's the reason why it took me 7 hours. Every detail, every color, every picture, photograph. I had to go over it 3 times to make sure it was working. And if it didn't, I was losing it. So, yes, I'm sure it's working. Go there yourself, Joey V. Check it out yourself and find out whether or not it's working. Anyway, like I said, today we've got Moment of Dough from Gary, Indiana. We've also got The Vote is Rigged, and Democrats who say that everybody is united and it's a big tent. I don't think so. I got evidence to suggest otherwise. And what is William Tong hiding? It seems like this Tong administration does a lot of hiding the ball and secrecy, especially for a guy who keeps telling everybody he's afraid of nothing. Apparently, the one thing that scares him is transparency. We'll talk about that and much, much more, and how John Bolton could actually he can seize this moment and get William Tong and start giving up the books. We'll talk about that and much, much more, so stand by. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Also, I got a follow-up to a story I did yesterday that I got a little bit of pushback or some poo-poo on. With poo-poo, yeah, with regards to cannabis usage. And I think people were thinking I was critical of those who use cannabis. I do not. I don't have an issue with those who use it medically. Again, my issue is for the recreational user, the people who think it's the whole, oh, I don't smoke because it's cool. Yeah, not that they do, but they know what the deal is. But those are the people who kind of annoy me. But apparently there's another story related to that came out of Yale. I'll talk about that later on in the program. Yesterday, at the end of the show, we mentioned this, that there were attorneys general across the country, who had coordinated as early as April of 2024 to file lawsuits against the incoming Trump administration. But the part that made that strange was it was April of 2024. Joe Biden was still a viable candidate at the time. He had not dropped out of the race. That happened days after the July 13th assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. So in April, this coordination was going on. That says a lot about what these attorneys general were doing that early on. Someone knew that Joe Biden wasn't going to hack it. Obviously. You don't do it that. Again, no Kamala Harris at the time. They knew that Joe Biden was cooked. They were anticipating a Trump 2024 victory. While everybody else was telling you otherwise, these guys knew what was going on. So they included the Connecticut AG, William Tong, and they were coordinating multi-state lawsuit strategy against a potential Trump administration as early as April, under the Protection for Federal Accountability. This was months before the election and before many of the policies even existed by the Trump administration, which undercuts any claim that the wave of post-inauguration lawsuits were purely reactive defenses of Connecticut's interest. It looks like the AG's office treated it as a national Democratic resistance tool. Connecticut is listed among the offices that have neither produced the 2024 planning emails records nor commented. That fits a documented pattern of Tong's office demanding upfront fees, retainers, appealing FOI commission rulings, and drawing criticism for opacity on public records. A retired Connecticut judge even said, "I despise Donald Trump, but I question whether common interest privilege properly covers pure hypotheticals." In other words, he's saying that he doesn't believe that William Tong's office has a right to keep this material from you. He did all of this on your dime. He did all of this, at least as he's laid it out. I heard him on Gary Byron's show, saying that he was getting billions of dollars for the Connecticut people. Lie, a flat-out lie. If it's a multi-state lawsuit for any amount of money, Connecticut only gets a fraction of that. So he didn't get us billions. We know that. Liar. But I don't think that William Tong has the right to keep this information from the public. I don't think that he has earned the right. I don't think he has any legal right to keep this information from us. Why would he hide it? And this is all I have to say about it. Think about it. William Tong is a shoo-in to be reelected for a third term. Yes? Yes? Come on, folks. That's what you tell me. That's what all the bookmakers are telling me. Right? John Bolton's got no shot. It's a Democrat state. Right? So William Tong, he can actually do whatever he wants. Right? He can be as underhanded as he wants. He can lie. He can hide. He can do whatever he wants. He can keep information out of your hands because what are you going to do? Nothing. You're still going to elect him because you hate the Republicans more. You hate the Republicans more than his secrecy, than his dirty dealing. And the only reason why I'm calling him dirty is why wouldn't he release them? He's got an entire state behind him. In fact, Connecticut Democrats just posted yesterday that Donald Trump has a 33.2% approval rating in the state. So, William Tong, why don't you just show us the goods? If anything, you can, right now, you have every reason to say Connecticut hates Trump. And anything I could do, whether underhanded or not, to get this guy, they're going to approve of. They can't stand the guy. So what are you hiding it for? I'll tell you why. Come on. Everybody use your head here. William Tong is scared to death of what you're going to learn. William Tong is deathly afraid of what you're going to learn. Why wouldn't he? He already thinks that you hate Trump, right? Trump is the most hated person in the state. Everything that they do is fight Trump, fight Trump. This guy brags every day. He holds a press conference every other day. I'm fighting Trump. So sure, some preemptive strikes on Donald Trump is a good thing. Come on, William Tong, you understood the threat, right? Didn't you? Come on, the existential threat was more than likely going to win, and we had Old Man River sitting in office, and we got the incompetent black chick who's probably going to take his place, is going to run as his running mate. There was no way that those two bozos were going to get reelected after all the hell they caused. So you know what? We were just setting up. Huh? You were just getting ready. This guy's going to come in. Why not? Get all of our ducks in a row. Get all our tools out the shed. Come on, we'll understand, William Tong. Why don't you just show us? Tell us what you were really planning. You were saving democracy, weren't you? I would love to know. I think people should demand it. That's why we're putting out a FOIA request. That's right. We want it all. I want every bit of it. Yeah. John Bolton is actually talking about this, and I know that he should be running some ads immediately. Like I said, this report says right here, Connecticut is still a blue state. Tong has high name recognition from consumer settlements and high-profile fights. Many Democratic voters will view the coordination as a legitimate resistance. The story is strongest with independents and moderates. Republicans already distrust lawfare and secrecy, are likely to flip the race by itself. But it sharpens Bolton's contrast and forces Tong to defend both the early planning and the refusal to release those records. Bottom line, it's not a made-up conspiracy. It's a documented early coordination of partisan assaults, plus a transparency blackout. William Tong doesn't think you deserve to know what he's doing on your behalf. Sound familiar? He gets to decide. You elect him, he does what he wants. You elect him, he keeps all of the books secret. The only thing you're allowed to know is what he tells you. I don't know about you folks. That don't sound like a democracy to me. The one that they claim to be protecting from the existential threat. Wasn't this guy at a No Kings rally? Screaming and hollering about how he's not afraid. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anything. Hey, can we see the books? Okay, I might be a little bit afraid. Yeah, there you go. Local journalists should be requesting FOIs. That's right. That's okay. I don't expect them to. I don't. Just got to do it ourselves. We're already on it. The Connecticut Centinal on it. Here, Reese on Radio on it. John Bolton on it. Can't let the stuff go to waste. We're still not even done with the Stephanie Thomas thing. We got plenty of that stuff going on. We will get to the end of that. Hey, Danbury. Danbury's got some problems. So does Bridgeport and New Haven, but Danbury in particular. And I hear that the mayor of Danbury was in Brazil at the time, or is in Brazil. Is that the case? ICE agents conducted enforcement operations in Danbury on Monday, resulting in multiple arrests. Reports put the number at double digits, with at least 7 people taken from Kennedy Park in downtown, where day laborers often gather. Additional activity was reported at other locations, including a McDonald's and a Stop and Shop. Agents were masked, I should say, were in unmarked cars and were wearing masks. Governor Lamont confirmed the arrest took place and said they did not appear targeted at violent criminals. Let me read that again. Governor Ned Lamont confirmed arrests took place and said they did not appear targeted at violent criminals. How would he know? How do any of these people know that ICE picked up violent illegals? Connecticut has a policy that does not ask their legal status or how they got here or where they come from. They do not ask at all. Why? Because they don't discriminate. Doesn't matter where they come from, why they're here. They don't check their legal status. They don't even ask. You're not allowed to in many cases. If you don't ask their legal status, there's no way for you to know where they came from, why they came into the country. All you know is that they are protected. That's all anybody knows. That's what Governor Lamont knows. That's what William Tong knows. That's what Bob Duff knows. That's what Jahana Hayes knows. That's what these NGOs know. I believe the NGOs know where these people are from. Forget about that. That much I know. I think they're the only people that half these illegals trust. But you know damn well that Governor Lamont has no idea who these people are, where they come from, or what's the status. He doesn't ask. But yet, he can make a statement that they don't appear violent to me. Why? Because they were standing around? Is that how you determine somebody is violent? And I have to ask, what determines a violent individual? Must he be stabbing a person in order for him to be known for? Like, what does that statement even mean? It's and or shooting. That's correct. And or shooting. What should he be doing in order to determine his violence? Must he have a 24-hour cycle of violence? Like, must he be walking down the street slashing people? It's like, is that what it is? There's no off period of like not doing something violent. He's just walking down the street smashing windows. Is that what? I don't even understand that. The Danbury Mayor Roberto Alves' office said that ICE gave no advance notice to the city. Why? Why would anybody give Danbury, the police department, advance notice that ICE was coming? What the heck was that? Why would anybody do that? I wouldn't. For a town that would sooner, I don't know, give the coordinates of my ICE agents to a bunch of rabble-rousers? Possibly put my agents in danger or in harm's way? Why would anybody do that? I know I wouldn't. Forgive me, I'm trying to figure out where that sound's coming from. I wouldn't put I wouldn't give that information to the Danbury Police Department. And by the way, you don't coordinate with my agents. You don't coordinate with ICE. Why should we give you any information? You won't assist us in getting these people off the street, but you want a courtesy call when we come by? We're supposed to say, hey, we're coming for your illegals. Shh, don't tell anybody. The Connecticut Trust Act limits how local police and officials can assist ICE. It generally bars holding people solely on civil immigration detainers unless there's a judicial warrant. Certain serious felony convictions or terrorist watch list status, Danbury police have publicly stated they follow the Trust Act and do not coordinate with ICE on immigration enforcement. Why would they contact you? Why would they? I wouldn't even bother. Let's go one step further into stupidity. Her name, Jahana Hayes. Again, dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I know this is either coming directly from her or her staff is lined with a bunch of idiots. This is a post that she put up. Helpful information from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. She posted this, Jahana Hayes. Know your rights when engaging with ICE. Quote, I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home based on my Fourth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution unless you have a warrant to enter signed by a judge or magistrate with my name on it that you slide underneath the door. I do not give you permission to search any part of my belongings on my Fourth Amendment rights. I am exerting my right to remain silent. This is the post that they put up, and then they write this. Legal disclaimer. This document is for general information purposes. Its contents are not legal advice. What? Everything I wrote there is the definition of legal advice. Everything there is something that a lawyer would tell their client. What do you mean this isn't legal advice? They actually wrote that. They're talking about Fourth Amendment rights, constitutional rights. Do you have a permission? Do you have permission to come into my home? Give me a warrant. These are all legal. They're all legal notes. So I wrote on my X account, Jahana Hayes, you cannot cite the law and then say it's not legal advice on a post that says know your rights. You're confusing people who already don't respect our laws. This is exactly how ridiculous these people are. They don't look violent, and we don't give legal advice. So here's some legal advice. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio.
Sometimes it feels like the news is full of things that have never happened before. And that is not exactly true. In fact, it may have happened this very week. hundreds or thousands of years ago. I'm Sally Helm, host of the podcast History This Week from the History Channel. Trade embargoes? Thomas Jefferson tried them. Rent too high? We've been arguing about that for a while. Each episode is proof. The past isn't that far away. Listen to History This Week, available now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Spider-Man. Hey, he's your friendly neighborhood Reese on the radio. Right now on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, back. Reese on the radio here. I saw this story a couple of days ago, and I'm so glad that I saved it. There's a group called Connecticut Voices for Children, and they put out a statement when it was revealed that some 63,000 people, or families for that matter, would lose SNAP in the coming months because of work requirements. So this advocacy group, again called Connecticut Voices for Children, what they want to do to help these families is got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and about the most borrowed dumbest thing I've ever heard. They want a state-run grocery store, a nonprofit grocery store, to bring healthy options to communities that don't already have them. The recommendation that they watched, again, because they have more families losing SNAP benefits, they are ignoring the fact that all these people have to do is work 80 hours a month. That's it, 20 hours a week. And they can volunteer in order to get their SNAP benefits. They ignore that. But they want a state-run, nonprofit, healthy food grocery store for those in need. Now, let me start by telling you, every store has fruits and vegetables, folks. Every store. And every store I go to, I talk to the produce guy, and he says the same thing. Their food goes bad all the time because no one's buying healthy alternatives. They're getting the processed stuff. They just do. Sure, you might get some potatoes. Sure, you might get some green beans. Maybe Nana does. But not everybody else. Probably food in a can, but produce, no. Every time I go through the produce, I'll probably see a couple of moms in yoga pants with young kids. We got to eat healthy. Yuppies. I mean, yuppie's not just a white thing. It's everybody young with a child who wants to eat healthy, I consider a yuppie. But I don't see a lot of people in the produce aisle. I just don't. Not in the inner city. They don't. We went to Friendly Hands Food Bank opening day. Roseanne and I were there. Roseanne helped put out the produce right at the front of their warehouse, their little supermarket area. And Roseanne was absolutely upset. She was like, nobody's getting those strawberries. Nobody's grabbing those apples. Nobody's grabbing those lemons. What the hell is wrong with these people? It was fresh it was really daunting to her. I was like, they just don't. It's the thing. We talk to people. We talk to them at HEB in Texas. We asked the guy who worked the produce. He worked there for years. He said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just ends up going in the garbage. Because they don't. And they call them food deserts. Bull crap. They're not deserts. They won't eat the vegetables that are there. Supermarkets are losing their shirts. And then I get this story. Same day. With this whole opening up a supermarket, a nonprofit free supermarket. A new study from economists Kevin Cornith and Richard Buckhauser shows that President Lyndon Baines Johnson's War on Poverty, launched in 1964, reduced measured poverty largely by replacing private earnings with government checks. Federal welfare programs now top $1 trillion a year. Before the war on poverty, from 1939 to 1963, absolute poverty fell sharply, almost entirely because of rising market income from work, not transfers. Black family poverty, for example, dropped from 87% in 1940 to 47% in 1960, with almost no government aid. After 1964, the decline in poverty continued at roughly the same pace, but the source flipped. Government payments now make up a far larger share of the poorest Americans' incomes. For the bottom 20%, government transfers rose from 26% of the total income in 1979, 26% in 1979, to now 42% in 2022. By then, welfare roughly equaled private income for that group. In essence, for every person in the private sector, they were making the same money in welfare payments. Dependency rates among working age adults rose from just 2 to 3% before the war on poverty to 7 to 15% in recent decades. The same study finds that absolute poverty fell no faster after the war on poverty than before it. Even when using consistent measures, income mobility has slowed, and cliff effects mean a small raise can cost a family more than $25,000 in lost benefits. Lyndon Baines Johnson promised a hand up, not a handout. What he got was a system that makes it harder to climb out through work. So the bottom line is, the war on poverty built a permanent underclass, which everyone had been talking about for the longest. It's not new. Any person who would even bothered to listen would have known. Confirmation of a free market economy came from economists and social scientists like Milton Friedman, who warned that expanding the welfare state would create more dependency, not less. Thomas Sowell documented the pre-1960s progress among black families driven to work and family, not government. Charles Murray, he wrote a book called Losing Ground. It laid out the same incentive trap in the 1980s. But what was the framing from those who would ignore it? Of course, those mostly on the left. It's always the same thing. Not giving out these handouts is cruel or tantamount to racist. But look, I want to put it to you this way. I've tried this for a long time. I'm going to say it again. What do you think families would do if you eliminated the welfare state? Right? If they did not have food stamps, they did not have the welfare program. What do you think they would do? You think they'd all sell drugs? What would they do? I don't think there's one person who can answer that question. I can, but I don't think there's anybody who really can answer that. Not those who think that, they have to have this program. But what would you do? I'd go one step further. I was like, what would you do if there was no welfare system? There is no way for you to get a check from the government. What would you do? The answer is usually anything. In fact, I know it would be anything. You'd work a job. You'd find a way to make money. I mean, you wouldn't starve to death, would you? Because that is excruciating. How painful can a person, that's a painful thing to go through. Stomach, hunger pains. What do you think you'd do? Roland, what would you do? You've been on welfare all your life, and all of a sudden, there's no more welfare, no more food stamps. Mm-hmm. What do you got to do? What do you do? Somebody's got to put food on the table. What would you do if you had to get a job? Would you take the most menial job? Like, would you pick up garbage on the street or be a landscaper, or what would you do?
I would just, I don't know I don't know which job I'll get. I know I'll be getting a job.
You have to get a job, though, right? It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Have to get something.
Right. Because mouths have to be fed. Even if it's you and single, right? If it's you by yourself, you do something, right?
I mean, I would hope I already have a job. Maybe I'll get a second job, because the first job I would assume be paying for rent and and different things like that.
Then get a weekend gig.
Get some other type of part-time to take care of the food that I'm missing out on.
Do you believe me when I say that instinctively most people would have that attitude, no matter what walk of life they come from, even if they've been on welfare their entire life? Like, if it's the only way of life they know, that if you were to eliminate the program, that somebody would get up and work, or they would just sit and starve?
Well, some of them would do other things. It's illegal.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, I'm sure they would. They'd probably, flip something they stole. But the bottom line is that they find a way to work.
Yeah, you got to get to it.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
I work 2 jobs now, so it's like, and I'm not on Snap.
That's what I'm saying. It's like forget about the pride of going on Snap. Like most people, like, I'm prideful. There ain't no way I'm going on welfare. I don't care what anybody says. I'm finding a job.
Yeah.
There's no way that's happening. As they said, like, what's Robert De Niro say about going back to San Quentin? I don't know about you, but I ain't never going back. I'm never going back to that. Ever.
Yeah, that was, as a kid, you're kind of embarrassed, because we had those, the booklet with the fake $1, $5, $10 that you tear off.
That Monopoly money?
Yeah. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm not doing it. No. That's what I'm saying. I'm just not going back. So these people who believe that it's cruel, these people would find a job if you gave them no other option.
I think they would.
I know they would.
I think they would.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. We got weather and traffic coming up. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
So there's this thing that Grok has that if you upgrade it, you get like much more. And so I actually purchased it, and it may very well be the greatest thing I've ever had in my life. I don't like technology. I don't. Maybe I'm too old school, or maybe I'm just too old. I just don't like. I don't like. I really don't. I don't like technology. It's really for these young people. Every time I see an ad on my computer and it says, hey, learn to code. And I go, no, thank you. I have no interest at all in learning to code. And I know that it's probably a good talent to have. But no, I'm not interested in it. No. You give me a job that actually I have to show up, lift things, move things, get calluses on my hand. I'm that guy. I worked behind a desk for a lot of years. I work behind one now. Even this makes me restless at times. It does. I couldn't do it. So God bless all of you who have turned those jobs into a career, but I'm just no. And plus, I'm too old to learn to code. I don't know who these people are. If you're learning to code right now, tell me what your experience is like. And if you don't want to learn the new technology, and you just go, you still got the old flip phone where you got to press the number 7 3 times to get the right letter when you send a text. I'm seeing more and more people my age and older going right back to the flip phone. And God bless you. I wish I could. That's the only technology that I like, is the one that is provided to me. Like, you guys do all of the, create the stuff. I'll buy it. That's fantastic. I love it. You got what do you created what? Your phone does this. Your car does that. The Cuisinart does what? That stuff, great. Purchase it all day. But actually participate in creating it, or is that, no. I did this thing. I'm telling you, 7 hours. I sat putting this website together. And I was getting frustrated at everything. I had to go online. I had to look it up. What number do I have to put in? Why does that make it slower? There's this one thing on the scroll, right? On the thing. Try this on for size. Show you how bad this is. So to make the scroll on my ticker go slower, I had to make the number higher. So if it's at 70, it zooms by. But if I make it 250, it scrolls slower. It doesn't make any sense. So I do this. All right, Reese on the radio. We're back, and we are live. Second half coming up. We've got everything from the moment of doubt. Stupidest thing I read today. Music news. And other nonsense. The moment of dough, you're going to love that one. Because there's a published report about Gary, Indiana. I can't wait to share that with you as well. So stand by. It's going to be a fun one. Let's get another check of weather and traffic out there on the 8s. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Okay, we are back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. If you're just joining us, you know we lost Dolly Parton today. If you're just getting in your car, going home, go home and throw on Islands in the Stream or Jolene. I know a lot of people can be playing Jolene, but Islands in the Stream, that was my song back in the day. That was just a great song. Like I said, I used to think those two were married, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Anyway, plenty of stuff to get into. I want to talk a little bit about these Arab studies that goes into effect this new school year. And exactly what it means, because a lot of people are misinterpreting what this curriculum is about. So I want to talk about that a little bit today as well. Plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. If I haven't been paying attention to the phones because I don't have the screen and I just have the phone and I haven't really been looking over there. So we'll take your phone calls this hour and next. If you want to call up, talk about anything, maybe you want to show some love to Dolly Parton, you can. 860-522-WTIC. The Democrats have been claiming that they are one big happy family. And there is nothing to worry about. Everything is good. Everybody loves everybody. But is that necessarily the case? I don't think so. Ken Martin, the head of the DNC, says that they're all a big tent. Everybody's getting along. But I don't think that's true. And if you ask the folks at the DSA, they don't seem to agree either. Why is that?
Democrats are unified. We are united, and we're through most of these primaries now, so it's no longer Democrat-on-Democrat violence. We have seen that the Democratic Party establishment that we have has to be ripped out. We are a Big Tent party. We always have been. As you've heard me say before, we have moderate Democrats. We can actually start to grab hold of the ship of state and steer it in our direction, but it's going to be a violent process. We have conservative Democrats, we have progressives, we have leftists. And the key is to make sure that despite all the labels that people throw around and the divisions within our party, there's more that unites us as Democrats than those small differences.
This Democratic Party needs to change.
What? Wait, the Democrats do not hear these people when they give these little Zoom calls? They're talking about snatching it violently from the Democrat Party. And look, I will go so far as to ask this question. It's real simple, right? Why not just create your own party? Democratic Socialists or Socialists, whatever it is you are. Just create your own party. Does anybody ever ask why they don't? I know Carville does. James Carville says, like, do whatever you got to do, but don't align yourself with Democrats. But they do. They call themselves Democrat Socialists, and they talk openly about taking over the Democrat Party. And no one asks why. Or at least no one can express or understand why. Can I help you? I've said this over and over again, and I know that people are going to say I am a broken record. The Democratic Socialists of America can just as easily take over the Republican Party, right? Aren't they in disarray? Right? There's MAGA and then there's Republicans, right? You guys know the Republican Party is no more. It's all MAGA now. Okay. Donald Trump managed to just steal the whole thing. What about moderate Republicans? Huh? How about never Trumpers? Right? Who are also considered moderate or mainstream Republicans, right? The Republicans you like because they don't like Trump either. Why did the Democrat Socialists join them? Right? Why didn't they just take over that faction and then destroy the Republican Party within? Why did they go after Democrats? Right? The oldest political group in history. Why? Well, at least in American history. Why did they go after them? James Carville can't figure it out. News media hasn't approached it. But you don't know why? It's because the Democrat Party is loaded with wusses, suckers, chumps, punks, weak-kneed, right? Yellow bellies, cowards. Why would they fight back? They appreciate and love everything. Their compassion is their undoing. They cannot disrespect the soul. They must be inclusive, even of people who wish to destroy them. Why do you think they side with radical Islamists? Why do you think we have queers for Palestine? Because everything they do is about, we just have to accept everyone until we can't accept everyone. They talk about how much they're associated with peace. We just want peace unless you're a Republican. We accept everyone. We're Big Tent, even though they want to destroy them. The Democrat Socialists of America knows that the Democrat Party is weak. There are no men there. There's no dad present. You have a bunch of petulant kids running the household. Just straddling on in, putting their feet up on your coffee table, and saying, this is ours now. What are you going to do? Now go fix me a sandwich. Shut up. Give me the remote. We're going to watch a documentary. Yeah, exactly. Go get me a beverage, too. The Democrat Party, exactly who they are, turn around and go, anything else? Well, they're not going to fight for the party. That's not in them. They're afraid of their own shadow. So, of course, they can openly tell the Democrat Party. Can you imagine if there was a group of people who were saying we're here to destroy the Republican Party or we're here to dismantle MAGA? You think MAGA would turn around and go, yeah, come on in? I mean, maybe we would say that, but we would do that like that scene in A Bronx Tale. Where they come in, we give everybody a beer, and then we lock the doors, and we simply say, now you can't leave. Listen to these people.
Democrats are unified. We are united, and we're through most of these primaries now, so it's no longer Democrat on Democrat violence. We have seen that the Democratic Party establishment that we have has to be ripped out.
It has to be ripped out.
A Big Tent party. We always have been. As you've heard me say before, we have moderate Democrats. We can actually start to grab hold of the ship of state and steer it in our direction, but it's
steer it in our direction.
Going to be a violent process. We have conservative Democrats, we have progressives, we have leftists, and the key is to make sure that despite all the labels that people throw around and the divisions within our party, there's more that unites us as Democrats than those small differences.
Yes, I'll tell you one thing that's going to unite you, that ass whooping they're going to give you. That ought to unite you. They're going to beat you. They're going to do it violently, and you are going to bow down just like you always do because you don't have a spine. Ken Martin is your leader. Come on. That guy got his lunch taken a week ago from a bully in the 8th grade. Isn't this the same guy who threw his phone at a staffer? His phone. He didn't take the staffer's phone and throw it. He abused his own $1,000 piece of electronics. These people are not tough. They have no spine, no backbone. And it doesn't help that they are represented by this bozo. Which brings us to another edition of my favorite part of the show. Everybody hates Chris. That's right. Everybody hates Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy can't decide on whether or not Donald Trump is a threat or isn't a threat, or there is a threat or there isn't a threat. And when this guy is supposed to be the de facto leader of the party, writing books, telling everybody about the moral good that we're supposed to have, I just don't know. So, Chris, tell us, is Donald Trump trying to keep people from voting, or is he not going to keep people from voting? Is that a threat or not a threat? I'm confused.
Well, ultimately, Trump doesn't want people to vote, and he's going to be very selective about who he doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want people who are more likely to vote for Democrats to vote. And so, he's going to instruct either Department of Homeland Security.
I don't want to sound weird or anything here, but do you notice that Chris Murphy never uses the word citizens? Not once.
Well, ultimately, Trump doesn't want people to vote, and he's going to be very selective about who he doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want people who are more likely to vote for Democrats to vote. And
you mean illegals?
So, he's going to instruct either Department of Homeland Security or the Postal Service, potentially, to remove people from the voter rolls or to profile people for removal from the voter rolls.
Who would he be profiling or removing from the voter rolls that's a citizen? Notice he never uses the word citizen.
That are more likely to vote for Democrats, Frank.
That's right. Illegals who would more than likely vote for Democrats. He would actually have them removed from the voter rolls. Not explaining why they would be removed from the voter rolls. Why? Because their name was Hernandez or Rodriguez?
And since people who live in cities. I don't think there's any secret about it. Trump is going to use whatever power he has available to him to make himself rich.
Okay. He's going to do whatever power he has to make himself rich.
He's going to use whatever power he has available to him to try to steal the election.
Okay, so he's going to make himself rich. He's going to use any power he can to make himself rich, and he's going to use all of the power he has to steal the election. So somebody explain to me, after talking about all of these dire things that Donald Trump is going to do, why Chris would then say this.
Now, he's not going to get away with stealing the election because the law is still on our side, and I think the people are just going to come up in bigger numbers. But that's the real fear, is that he's going to be very selective in who he tries to disqualify from voting. Again, I don't think it ever goes into effect, but that's clearly the danger.
So there's a real fear of something that he's not going to be able to do? Chris Murphy? I mean, it's just hyperbolic nonsense that comes out of this guy's mouth. Like, he's going to be a threat, but he can't be a threat? What? Why? Who can sit through that nonsense and not say something to it? Wait, hold on. What? I'm sorry, Chris, that makes no sense to me. What? Is he a threat to the election or not? He is going to be a threat, or he's not. The law is going to prevent him from doing, or not. Where are we? That's the reason why people from the DSA can absolutely rip these people to shreds. That's why. That's, again, it's the dumbest people in the room. Dumbest. Everywhere you go. And they show up on CNN, and this aristocrat, Anderson Vanderbilt, sits up there and he just looks at him, dumbfounded. I don't understand what a word he's saying. Can we just get through this? no white hair. Aristocrat. Anderson Vanderbilt. That's all I hear. That's all I think of when I see Anderson Cooper. Did you watch? Oh, man, I have to find that video. The guy who was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Gosh, what the heck was his name? He's the mentalist who was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He was supposed to be the comedian, but he's doing the whole thing, figuring out, who people, what you were thinking, who's your first date, and all that other stuff. And he was on Anderson Cooper's show, and he was talking, showing him how he does these tricks. And Anderson has to figure out, think of a name of a person that he hadn't seen in a long time and where he remembers meeting the person. And the mentalist figures it out. He not only figures out who Anderson is talking about, he also named the place on the globe that he met the guy. And it was in some small little town in Niger, wherever it is. Anyway, but he found it. So anyway, it was on the balloon. That was the whole trick, that the town he was in was on a balloon. And Anderson, in the way that only Anderson Cooper can say it, he goes, I don't know how you even knew where that place was on the globe. How did you even know where that was a place? You just watch him. It's just dripping with, do you even know where in the world this place is? I can't believe you actually knew this place existed. Anderson is the worst. Anderson Vanderbilt. Oh, goodness gracious. When we come back, voter fraud. Not true, they say. I've got more examples of it and a story you don't want to miss on top of it when we return. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher is back. He's at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC. News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio right here live. I was trying to get rid of that. There we go. That was that thing. So we're doing something new on the show that I actually absolutely have a hell of a lot of fun doing and putting together. And it's what I call the moment of dough.
This is, to me, it feels like neglect. Do you think that some of that neglect comes from or is happening, if you feel that way? It may be in part because Gary is a black working class city?
100%. I believe that a couple things are at play here. During the middle of the restoration process, the utility company, and full transparency, 15 years, I worked for that company, so I know about the process. They were releasing the updates of restoration, and Gary was not listed on that restoration list. Gary is the largest geographic footprint of a city that we have, not population-wise, but geographic footprint. And that was the moment that the extreme frustration came out from the public, because it would appear that we're being forgotten when you don't list out the actual restoration time frame. So
that right there is Gary, Indiana Mayor Eddie Melton, who is talking about power restoration in Gary, Indiana. That's right. Power restoration in Gary, Indiana after a storm. And said that there were plenty of people who were left without power for hours. Without power from August 14th to the early hours of August 15th. Yes, that's what he claimed. He went on Don Lemon's very failed show to talk about the fact that there was no power and that the power company was ignoring Gary, Indiana, because it is 75% black. But it turns out that wasn't the entire story, as always. So when we return, we will tell you exactly the moment of doubt that happened between the power company and the mayor of Gary, Indiana, and the flat-out lie he told on Don Lemon's program. So stand by for that. We'll show you it when we return. Let's get another check of traffic and weather on the 8th. Mark Christopher. Well, okay, almost out there. Look, I get ahead of myself. I should have just wait for the sounder, and then I'll just do it then. You know, instead of, yeah, that's what I should do. But you can hear him in there. I can't hear him in here. I cannot believe the whole thing where we're going to have a wall between us. I'm not liking that. I'm going to break that. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put a hole in the wall, just like Aerosmith did and Walk This Way. Now it's time for us to get traffic and weather on the 8th. Mark Christopher's back. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio, and now it's time for another edition of what I call the moment of dough. Again, like I told you, the Gary, Indiana mayor, his name is Eddie Melton, went on Don Lemon's show to suggest that after a power outage, that his town failed to get its power restored because the town is 75% black. It's also the hometown of the Jacksons, Michael, Tito, the bunch. Here's him on Don Lemon's program when asked whether or not they were neglected based on race.
This is, to me, it feels like neglect. Do you think that some of that neglect comes from or is happening, if you feel that way? It may be in part because Gary is a black working class city?
100%. I believe that a couple things are at play here. During the middle of the restoration process, the utility company, and full transparency, 15 years, I worked for that company, so I know about the process. They were releasing the updates of restoration, and Gary was not listed on that restoration list. Gary is the largest geographic footprint of a city that we have, not population-wise, but geographic footprint. And that was the moment that the extreme frustration came out from the public, because it would appear that we're being forgotten when you don't list out the actual restoration time frames.
Really?
That's where all of the mayhem really started to get triggered. I want to be clear. Gary has not been left behind. We have had support. We have had linemen working every single day throughout this entire storm, post the storm.
So he lied. He flat out lied, and he played right into the racist trope of the Don Lemon program. But he didn't mention one thing about the delay that happened in Gary, Indiana, and that is this. On the night of August 14th, my birthday, into the early hours of August 15th, a marked NIPSCO Jeep carrying 2 utility workers scouting storm damage were shot at the 200 block of Rutledge Street in Gary, Indiana. The vehicle was hit at least twice. The rear window was blown out, 1 bullet lodged in the headrest. No one was injured. An off-duty officer was trailing the Jeep for security, and neither the workers nor the officer saw who the shooter was. NIPSCO paused restoration work in Gary while it coordinated with local police, Indiana State Police, and the National Guard for additional protection. Work resumed later the same afternoon once security escorts were in place. This happened in the middle of the largest outage event in NIPSCO's history. And then what they're saying is that there were winds on August 11th that hit nearly 100 miles per hour and knocked out power for more than 370,000 customers. Gary took the heaviest hit. Hundreds of poles were damaged and destroyed. Multiple substations out. Transmission infrastructure had to be rebuilt, not just repaired. Thousands of homes and businesses remained in the dark for nearly 2 weeks. NIPSCO set a target of midnight on August 25th for substantial restoration in Gary. And Gary Mayor Eddie Middleton called the pace unacceptable and said that the city's predominantly black population was bearing an outside share of the hardship. NIPSCO's response, restoration order, is driven by the severity of the system damage, not demographics. But they also never mentioned the fact that people going out to restore power were being shot at. There were police officers in tow in your savage little village. Like, what's it going to take? Seriously. Yeah, talk about whether or not people are paying attention to your tony little town. It's Gary, Indiana. It's always been a slum. Always. Always. No matter how hard you try. Slum. Like the fact that, one of the most famous entertainer families came from the town. You'd think that, no. Slum. Slum. Just is. So, there it is, your moment of dough. Connecticut has a new law. Took effect on July 1st. It requires the State Board of Education to make curriculum materials on Islamic and Arab studies available to local and regional school districts and to encourage those districts to offer instruction on the subject. It is not a mandate, they say. Districts do not have to teach it. They can choose to use the material and create a full course, half credit, or fold pieces into existing social studies or world history classes. The requirement was added as a small provision in a larger education omnibus bill, I should say. It mirrored the exact language already used for Holocaust and genocide education, as well as African American and Black studies, Puerto Rican and Latino studies, Native American studies, and Asian American and Pacific Islander studies. Do any of these have math, reading? I mean, just any. Does any of these studies have that in there? Because that's where the kids are falling behind. Not on Native American studies. I haven't heard one people say, you know what's wrong with our kids? They're only proficient by 30% in African American studies. No one ever says that. No new money was allocated when the state has faced similar unfunded mandates in the past. It has typically created resource pages on its website which link to vetted materials rather than writing an entire new statewide curriculum from scratch. Now, what watchdog groups should be doing, and parents alike, what you should be doing is finding out what website this curriculum is on and what they're teaching. If you can't get to them, get to a teacher who knows or you can trust to find out for you. I already have mine. I already have my teacher. And she is going to let me know. But I'm not worried about her school ever. And I mean ever teaching Islamic studies in there. Her students can barely read. I'm sorry. I love her. She's a good friend. I consider her like, kind of a sister. But her kids are dumb as... She has the worst of the worst kids. I mean, God awful. Like, they should put a prison right outside the jail. I mean, right outside the school. Right there. It should be literally. It should be like, when they go into the class, they should go right to the prison. At least so they can see what their lives are going to be like. It's just... As soon as they walk in, hey, are we going to do math today? Well, it depends. Like today's lesson is we're going to count the days you'll be incarcerated when you're old enough. I'm sorry. I know that's mean. I'm not telling anybody where the school is. And I know the teacher I'm talking about. Well, actually, no, she just started school today. So, did she start today? She started Monday. I think she started yesterday. So if she's listening, she's probably listening now because she's out of class. But she knows. She knows. She knows. Those poor kids. Those poor kids. Yeah, so she'll let me know. I know that if that curriculum is available online, you better make it available to me because I want to know what they're teaching. It's important to know. We'll get to the bottom of it. I promise you. We'll have that story soon enough. Tomorrow, do we have... Oh, we're reaching out to Linda McMahon. I don't know if you heard about this, but she says 1 in 10 students in the country has faced sexual harassment from a school teacher or administrator. Did you know that? I didn't know that. 1 in 10. So we're going to see if we can get the secretary back on the program to talk a little bit about that. She was on Fox yesterday talking about that. And I said, we just had on the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, Kimberly Ritchie, on the program last week. So I think we need to expand on that conversation about Aaron's Law and the enforcement of it here in the state. We haven't heard anything from state legislators, but then again, they're not in session. So when that happens, we need to get a little detailed on that as well. Also, there were some people who talking about Ryan Fazio being on the program. What can I say? Candelara, Sampson, who else is there? Why am I forgetting his name now? I always forget his name last minute. Why am I forgetting his name now? For Pete's sake, why am I forgetting his name? His name's not coming to me. No matter how hard I try, I'm getting further and further away from his name. But City Hall, Adam, you know who I'm talking about. Tell these guys to get on Fazio. Tell them to, either show up to the station or call in. So he can have him on the program. Everybody wants me to ask him questions about the campaign. They want to know what he has planned coming up for next month. It's kind of a dead issue because August is the last of everybody's summer vacation, so it's really worthless to really do any. I mean, there are places that you can go, but there's not really a lot of ground you can make when people are gone on vacation. September, everybody's back in school. People are at work. They get more involved. We get closer to to Election Day. So we'll have him on. I'm sure whenever he wants to, we'll have him on. But I think there's been some restructuring that I heard that's happening over there in the camp. I don't want to set this up to say like there's something bad going on. It's just like there are some things that they're doing that they're gearing up for. So I know they can't be anywhere and everywhere, on demand. But if he ever wants to come on, just let him know the availability is here. Speaking of Ryan Fazio, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about election fraud. And it's everywhere. No matter where you look. We have a story today that no one picked up on, or at least they're not reporting it here, as it relates to Wanda Pataki. Did you know Wanda's in the news today? Wanda's in the news today, and there's no reports of it. I wonder why, Connecticut. Not one mention? Really? This should technically be the trial of the state. And not one word. Here it is right here. 2 people charged in the Bridgeport absentee ballot investigation rejected plea deals in court today. And they will go on trial. Wanda Pataki, the former Democrat Town Committee vice chair, and a city employee, turned down an offer of an 8-year sentence, suspended after 3 years in prison, plus 3 years of probation. They turned it down. Even though there's video evidence. at least against Wanda Pataki. And they're going to roll the dice in court. Really? No coverage of this? With all the debates about, ballot harvesting and absentee ballots, nothing, huh? That's weird. That's weird. Well, looks like we're going to have to start covering it ourselves. Ain't that true? If I can get a volunteer journalist to follow this trial, I'm going to need I got to see if I can find someone down there who will go to the trial each day and then be a correspondent here on Reese on the Radio. I'll give you all the shine in the world, especially if you're an independent journalist and you're trying to get some burn on your channel or your page, whatever it is. Give me a call. You just got to be down there to get all the details from the trial. We'll get you everything you need. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Mark Christopher. We'll be back with music news and more rock the vote fraud. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Oh, yeah. Why Adam is trying to get Wanda Pataki on the program, and she said no. I don't want Wanda Pataki. She's the worst interview ever. Even if she had something to say, she would have nothing to say. News. Happy birthday goes to Jeff Tweedy, frontman for Wilco. He turns 59 today. Vivian Campbell, the guitarist for Def Leppard, turned 64. Don't break my heart, my achy, breaky heart, Billy Ray Cyrus. He turned 65 today. Gene Simmons, the bassist and co-founder of Kiss, turned 77. And I cannot find one of his fans anywhere. Elvis Costello, he turns 72 today. On this day in music, in 1970, Elton John made his U.S. live debut at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. In 1975, Bruce Springsteen released his breakthrough album, Born to Run. In 76, Boston released their self-titled album, which became one of the best-selling debuts in rock history. In 1986, Paul Simon released Graceland. And in 2001, 2 weeks before September 11th, R&B singer Aaliyah died in a plane crash in Bahamas at the age of 22. That was 25 years ago today. And that is your music news. Mark Christopher is back. He has got weather and traffic on the 8th. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. I know you remember that day. Did you know anything about Aaliyah when she'd passed?
From politics to news to music to movies and anything above the sun.
Oh, and outer space and beyond, it's Reese on the Radio. Damn, he's good. Only on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, back. Reese on the Radio. Do not forget, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com and download the brand new Reese on the Radio app. Come on, you want it, you need it. Best part about it is not only has this program live, if you go to it now, in fact, I'm going to go to it right now. I'm going to make sure I turn the volume down so it's not repeating myself, and it just makes the whole thing uncomfortable and weird. So here's the deal. So if you go to your browser, right, and you just go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, so you already have it saved here because, I kind of like the guy. And then you'll go there. If you look on that screen right there, you'll see, right? So there's a little ticker that's going there, and at the top it says "Get the app," and it's got my Reese on the Radio logo, and of course you can listen to, the band The Panics, right? You can hear the theme song. Ain't that cool? You can listen to the theme song right there. But right there on the top is the downloadable Reese on the Radio app, ready to go. Right? And everything's there. My show is live. You just hit there. Just hit that screen and you can see that. What is that? That's weird. Yeah, there you go. You hit that screen and you can see the show and it's live right in front of you. Then there's a ticker right there. But if you go to the app, which actually I will go to now, because I got that saved. And I'm just really, really proud of it because I did all the work on it, And you go there, and there's the app, and it pops right up, and then you can see the Reese on the Radio program, and it's live, right? And you can just watch it, and you can move it. You can move this thing here, and you can see me and everything. And then, of course, it's got the right here on the screen. You can see all of the episodes that those are uploaded right there, and there's all the Substacks. There's an excerpt from my book there as well. And, that's the whole thing, and you're raring to go. That's it. It's easy, simple, and plain. Okay? So download the Reese on the Radio app. You can go to reseontheradio.com in order to get it. What was this deal? Was it Lori? Yes, Lori. There she is. She says, hey, I'm an Elvis Costello fan. I write the book, and Allison are great songs. Don't deny it. I know both of those songs. But I've yet to really find an Elvis Costello fan. I don't think there's once, maybe once in my life, I've seen a radio station give away Elvis Costello tickets because he was going to be in time. It's like, hey, come on down and see Elvis Costello at the amphitheater. I've never seen it. Maybe once. I just don't know who their fans are. I've never heard of Elvis Costello fans. Not like that. I've heard of Elton John fans, but not Elvis Costello. I just think he's kind of popular. He's kind of popular in a way that, who's a person I would say that's right on that same sort of, I can't say it about Paul Simon because he's still Simon and Garfunkel, so he always draws a crowd. I don't know. He's a difficult person to gauge as a fan base. Like, you know him, but you don't know. Do you know who Elvis Costello is, Roland? You ever heard of him? Yeah, you don't follow him, right? It says he just doesn't have that kind of appeal. That's all. I don't see that kind of, as it were. Reese, can we give a nod to the one and only Dolly Parton who passed away today? Yes, we began the show with that. Here's one of her tunes. There's a family from Avon, Connecticut, the Casey sisters, who do justice to this song. It's wonderful. Okay, I will give them an opportunity, Zap, in a little bit. But remember, I have copyright, barriers that I can't violate. But yes, we gave a lot of props to Dolly Parton today. I still love Dolly Parton, always will. So make sure you download the app. So we are talking about fighting voter fraud because it is apparent that voter fraud is anywhere and everywhere. And there is an argument that we should not take it into consideration because it is not widespread.
Governor Mikey Sherrill says that her administration is working to fix the NBC voter registration error.
Why is that doing that?
Governor Mikey Sherrill says that her administration is working to fix the NBC voter registration error. So far, 5,100 non-citizens registered who were registered have been deleted from the system. Another 1,450 have had their registration status changed to rejected to prevent them from voting pending additional review.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announcing charges today against 5 non-citizens alleged to have voted in Michigan's 2024 general election, and 1 U.S. citizen alleged to have registered their non-citizen spouse to vote. They face individual charges ranging from a 90-day misdemeanor to a 7-year felony. Throughout 2025, the Michigan Department of State referred to the Department of Attorney General 16 cases of suspected non-citizen voting in the 2024 November general election. In 2026, an additional 22 cases have been referred to the Michigan Department of Attorney General concerning suspected non-citizen voting or adjacent conduct in elections spanning from 2009 to 2025. 6 cases have resulted in criminal charges. 10 have been closed without charges, and 22 remain under review.
Under review. And again, it's not just a bunch of non-citizens or some citizens. Some people are running for office.
Desiree Lynch was arrested around 10:15 this morning on 5 felony charges. I spoke with the San Joaquin County District Attorney earlier today, and he says this comes after a 6-week-long investigation. According to Lynch's campaign website, she is a full-time ICU nurse and a mom, and she announced last week that she would withdraw from the election, but this week she said she intended to stay in the race. She's charged with 3 counts of perjury, false voter registration, and false filing for candidacy. The San Joaquin County District Attorney's Office accuses Lynch of perjuring herself. The DA says Lynch registered to vote and filed to be a candidate using the addresses of places she didn't live.
So I know that people want to tell me every day or any day that, Reese, this is not proof of widespread fraud. But I keep asking the simple question, why risk it if it isn't, if there's no means to an end, right? I mean, that's an obvious question. Like, why be caught with 24 votes, like, or 25 absentee ballots at the risk of being charged with a felony and going to jail? If it's of no consequence, right? It doesn't change the vote. Like, that's the argument, right? Like, why risk 7 years in jail, 5 years in jail, 2, 3 years in jail, and a felony for a couple of votes if it's not meant to mean anything? Because I'm looking at it, because you can look at it from the outside. I'm looking at it from the perpetrator, right? Like the perpetrator. Now, if you're a kleptomaniac, right, and you steal, I don't know, a piece of candy. If you're a kleptomaniac and you steal, I don't know, like an onion, you know, or you eat a couple of grapes while you're shopping, and then you decide you don't want the grapes and you put them back. I mean, those are underhanded things, but the risk, right? What's going to happen? You're going to get kicked out? Maybe they'll call the cops on you. Maybe they'll force you to pay for what you ate, something like that. Why dine and dash, right? There's a possibility you could be caught. Somebody has a video of you, put an APB out on you. Next thing you know, you were arrested, theft of services. Like, why do you risk doing something that's silly? Again, I'm looking at the perpetrator, not the fraud. The perpetrator. What's the purpose of committing that crime? Like, it wouldn't matter. There has to be a means to an end, right? I put in 24 absentee ballots in a drop box because I was trying to do what? Was I trying to win an election? Was I trying to get away with it? Did I believe every help counts? Or am I a part of something bigger? Or is this one time you caught me? There has to be a purpose for doing the crime. Because again, what's on the other side of the crime? I'm just saying, as individuals, when we look at crime, we say to ourselves, yeah, I could do that, but is it worth getting a ticket for? I could do that, but is it worth having the police chase me down? Yeah, I could do that. I hate that son of a gun. I wish I could kill him. But is it worth spending the rest of my life in jail? I want to punch that guy in the face. Do I really want to get arrested for assaulting a guy? Possibly. No. There are checks and balances that we have in our own brain before we commit a crime. This one has a pretty heavy penalty. Why commit it? And when people make the argument that it isn't widespread, well, hell, neither is bank robbery. Neither is drug dealing. It's not widespread. But is it not a crime? Is it not significant enough to pay attention to because it isn't widespread? Like it doesn't affect anything? It's a ridiculous argument to say it's not widespread, so therefore it isn't worth paying attention to. Again, I'd like to get to, the bottom line. Why would a person risk it for a couple of votes that are meaningless. Right? Ask anybody who doesn't vote because they don't believe their vote even counts. Ask that person to, seriously, consider this. You won't vote because you don't believe your vote counts. But this person forged 4 signatures on absentee ballots. What do you think they did that for? Your 1 vote doesn't count. Clearly 4, 5 even don't count, right? Seems kind of silly. So why do you think they risked going to federal prison for it? Or not federal, but at least getting a felony. Why do that? For just 4 votes. That seem ridiculous to you? It seems crazy. But there are a lot of people doing it, huh? It deserves an answer. I would love to ask one person who's done it, why'd you do it? Just one. I wish somebody had the guts to tell me. Yep, exactly. There you go. Money. It's a good point. It's time for traffic on the 8s. Then we'll wrap this puppy up. Mark Christopher's back. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
All right, Reese on the radio. We'll take your phone calls in a minute, so stand by for that before we wrap things up. It's wise not to pay attention to this show. I'm saying this to news media outlets out there and all that other stuff. It's wise, especially even to the politicians on the other side of the aisle. It is wise to act like the show doesn't exist. It's better for you. And you put me in my place when you do that. I just want to let you know that by acting like this isn't a thing, right? You know, that whole just ignore him, he'll go away kind of thing. It's the smartest thing you could do. Like, act like everything that's happening, like he's only talking to his people. He's not really affecting any change. You know, is the best, absolutely the smartest strategy. I want to tell you that. And not that I don't know that you listen. I know that you listen. I know it's important that you listen. It's a good show. Sorry. I'm kidding. I'm kidding about you listening because it's a good show, but I'm kidding. But it is smart that you do not listen to the show or take no seriousness, because again, it probably means nothing, right? In the grand scheme. Like, nobody's really paying attention, not of any importance. It's not going to change or move the dial in any way, right? It's just the show. I got it. Totally. And that is the smartest strategy. In fact, if I were a member of your team with the knowledge that I have, that is exactly what I would tell you. That's exactly what I would tell you. To go, just ignore him. It doesn't mean anything. Seriously. So, with that being said, you guys keep doing what you're doing. September's coming. September is coming. Just so you know. It's been quiet for a couple of weeks, hasn't it been? Yeah. Yeah, you noticed. Don't worry, I noticed too. I'm also quite restless, just so you know. And I don't like being restless for too long. Sometimes I need activity. Idle hands are the devil's playground. Ask Mark Christopher, he'll tell you. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I mean, Reese won't take a day off.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
So, yeah.
I haven't put in for my vacation in October. We're about to come up to it. I haven't put it in yet. I have to go to Texas, and I'm not in the mood. I don't want to take a day. It's too close to the election right now.
That's true.
Like, who takes a vacation? Who are these people?
I don't know, Reese. I don't know what their motivation is to take vacation when you can work.
Yes, exactly. When you can work.
Exactly.
I'm just...
I know how you operate, man. Why would you take a vacation?
Do you understand? I would be miserable, Mark.
You would be.
I wish you could see me. You know what I'm going to do? When they force me to take a vacation this year, I'm going to send you a picture of every day of me sobbing.
Oh, my God, yeah. Long-faced.
All right, we are back. Reese on the radio. Let's get into our phone calls. Let me start with Lori's in Glastonbury. How are you doing, ma'am? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. It would work if I actually had your volume up. There you go. Say again?
You have kept me company because I have been painting in my new home because I'm on vacation.
Okay.
So,
congratulations on a new place. That's right. You did tell me you got the new place. So you've been painting.
Yep, I've been painting all day, and so I've been listening to you.
Thank you.
But I'm one of those people that doesn't normally take a vacation. But we got a women's retreat this coming weekend that I'm teaching at, and I was like, I need to get some stuff done in the new home. So here I am.
Absolutely.
But I take umbrage with you regarding
Elvis Costello.
Yes, I do, and because he wasn't really back in the day. He was considered edgy initially.
Yes.
Because he was really much more punk-like.
That's correct.
Watching the detectives and Pump It Up and that kind of stuff. And then he turned a little poppy around, I would say, Veronica.
Yep.
Was where that really it was like, oh, we're going this route? Okay. But I Write the Book and Allison weren't initially considered poppy records or poppy tunes.
They were pop records, though.
Were they real?
Every day I write the book
on popular radio.
I'm giving you all my love. Every day, every day, every day, every day I write the book. That ain't pop.
But it wasn't on regular pop radio, and it was considered new wave.
It was the only reason why I know Elvis Costello is because he played on the top 40 station I listened to.
Because of Veronica, I know.
Yeah.
But Every Day I Write the Book is normally back in the day it was not played on regular radio.
Well,
it might be now because all of
you're right, because I'm thinking the mid '80s when I heard that record. And again, not that I didn't know who he was, I knew he was edgy. Can I give you this example? And this is the reason why I kind of make fun of the whole who's an Elvis Costello fan. Because do you know what's the most edgy thing he did when I was growing up, which again, absolutely was not on brand? It was the famous band from Saturday Night Live episode. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, so everyone should look this up. Elvis Costello was told not to sing a song on Saturday Night Live. The night he performed, his backup band was none other than the Beastie Boys. And he performed the song anyway. He interrupted the song they were supposed to perform the band's song. I cannot remember what it was, but it may have been, what's the one you said?
Pump It Up?
No, the detective song. It may have been that or another song.
The detective.
Yeah, it was a song he wasn't supposed to sing. He sang it anyway, and he was forever banned for it.
Oh, all right. Well, I did that. I did not know.
And that's why I said, I'm like,
new every day.
This guy is edgy? I'm like, it's Elvis Costello. He's waiting. And Craig in the car says, by the way, he goes, the only reason why anybody cared about him was because he had the name Elvis in his name.
That's not true. Craig, you are not in this conversation, Craig.
I love you. Y'all fight like brothers and sisters. I love it. All right, let me grab some others. I'm telling you, I think I'm right on the Elvis Costello thing. There are very few people who are big fans. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right, well, fair enough. But I appreciate you taking some time to honor Miss Parton earlier today.
Oh, I love that woman. Thank you. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
You got it. Let's go to Pete in Northford. Hello, Pete. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Reese. Yeah, I'm not a big fan here of Elvis Costello either, but he is married to Diana Krall, is he not?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But can we say that's like liking Billy Joel because he was with Christy Brinkley?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am with all this.
Okay, so I guess you're the same with Rick Ocasek, right?
Well, there you go.
I'm developing a pattern here for you, Pete.
Yeah. The guys are doing well.
No, don't get me wrong. I saw Rick Ocasek with, what was his wife's name?
Oh, gosh,
Jill,
I knew you were going to ask me.
I want to say her name is Goodacre?
Was she a supermodel or
she
something?
Was, yes. She was supermodel. Absolutely. I saw them once on 8th Street off 6th Avenue. That was the first time I ever saw, and I and I should have recognized her, but of course I was a big Cars fan, so I saw Rick Ocasek. That was the first thing I paid attention to, and I'm like, wow, the rock stars get all the hot chicks. Little did I know it was his wife.
Oh man, hey, I kind of talking about this Jeter thing in Bridgeport and all. It's funny how the Democrats have gone from there is no election fraud. To, there's a little election fraud.
It's not widespread.
There's a little election fraud, but it's not enough to sway an election one way or another.
Indeed.
I always found it fascinating that in Joe Biden's initial address, to America, after he got elected, quote, stolen the election, the first thing he said to everyone was, I got the most votes in the history of American elections in the most secure election of all time.
Yeah.
Those were his. That's very strange to me.
And it was in the speech.
Right. That's the first thing he said to everybody as the president-elect.
Yep.
Kind of weird.
You know what?
Kind of weird.
That's again, and I always go back to Uncle Rush with the question that no one's ever been able to answer. If indeed it was the most secure election in history, what was the least?
Yep, absolutely.
Because it begs the question. You can't have this without the that. So
do you think we're ever going to turn over the voting here in Connecticut? Ever going to turn over the voting rolls?
It may. I'll put it this way: it may not be in the timeline we expect. Unless his lawyers find some loophole, some way to force the hand of the Secretary of the State, if not the Attorney General. But listen, we got 2 months. They've got to figure out something. And again, if it's got to go to the Supreme Court, it's got to go to the Supreme Court. But this mail-in ballot thing, this victory we got at least with the Supreme Court and the mail-in ballot, it doesn't solve everything, but it's a nice step. But these lawyers should be working triple time to make sure that we get these mail-in ballots secured, because that's where the corruption is. I believe so.
No, agree. And if it's all the COVID thing too. I mean, this probably was all aided greatly by COVID, along with a lot of other things. So the spending and whatnot, which we really should go back to pre-COVID spending here in the state of Connecticut, which would then save us a lot of money. But anyway, one more quick thing, if I can.
Real quick.
Now, is Jeter going to be? Is that trial going to be in Bridgeport or is it going to be in New Haven?
In Bridgeport. From women, I don't know that. That's a great question. I did not find that out. I'll have to double check. But I know if it's in Bridgeport, you're right. She may be rolling the dice because it's in her home her home city. So she thinks she'll get a jury of her peers who will acquit her. That's what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, I don't think she has to worry if it's in New Haven either. So
yeah, you might be right about that too.
That's all I got.
Reese. Thank you, buddy. You got it. Let's go to Christopher. How are you, sir?
I am doing great, Reese. Oh, listen, rarely do I get angry when a celebrity passes. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And when Stevie Ray Vaughan died, I was angry.
You were? You know what? Can I tell you something sad? When he passed away, I didn't even know who he was. And I was like, oh, I don't even know who that is. And then I found out who he was, and I was just like, oh, that's sad. I didn't really know.
Oh, and I want to tell you, I am your pesticide pal, by the way.
Thank you, sir. So Dolly Parton passing, is that really hurting you today?
It is.
Yeah.
I just heard it about 2 hours ago, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? When Michael Hutchins died, I was a little bit aggravated.
Oh, man, I know exactly where I was when Michael Hutchins, is it Hutchins? Yeah, Michael Hutchins died. I remember exactly where I was.
3 weeks before he died down at the Mohegan Sun.
Wow.
Mohegan. Yeah, it was Mohegan. He was in the Wolf Den for a free show.
Yeah.
Couldn't get in, but I stood behind the slot machines and watched him. Oh, my Lord.
I was in Times Square right across the street from that ticker. You know that ticker that goes around in New York around that building they have there? It's a news ticker. Yep. The news came across that news ticker was how I found out. The afternoon after when they announced that he had died. That was where I read it. I'll never forget that.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
And listen, I do remember when Elvis died because I'm that old.
I'm that old, too, but I was only 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I was somewhere in my teens, I think, by then. I think I got 5-6 years on you.
Yeah,
but,
you might.
Oh, goodness. It is so great to talk to you. It is so great to hear your program.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Let me grab the last one here before I get out of here. You got it, sir.
Absolutely.
You got Stevie V. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, I think Elvis was coming to Connecticut just before he died, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? That was is that the night? I remember how many nights before he did the last show in Vegas when he finally said enough was enough? How many days was it before he died?
That I could not tell you.
Okay.
I really don't.
By the way, did you see that last Elvis movie? The one with Tom Hanks?
I did not, no.
Listen to me, there's a lot of that movie that sucked, but there's a lot of that movie that was great. Like there were some elements in there that I thought were just too nouveau and very avant-garde. Those things I was not a big fan of. However, there were the relationships that Elvis had with people that you knew nothing about that were absolutely captivating. People did not know how civil rights minded Elvis was.
Oh, he was good for a lot of things, and I know he stood up for his black singers. And
yeah, like everybody was sitting up here saying, oh, he was stealing black people's work and not giving them credit. That it was nowhere near true. And to watch this movie is just an insight into his mind and what he was thinking about at the time. His special that was all related to civil rights and all that. That's why I said the parts of the movie that sucked, but the parts that were great make up for the parts that sucked. You have to see it.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was Sun Records or whatever, but he went to cut a record for his mother.
Yeah,
and they liked his voice. They actually had him sit in their band, and like a year or two later, I think he actually led the band, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to verify that. He was blonde hair too, right?
Yes, he did have blonde hair.
Right. As far as Costello goes, I liked him, especially when he was with Bud Abbott and they met Frankenstein.
Hey, Abbott. By the way, you were the only person who would get this joke. Some other people will, but I just say you go on the phone. One of my favorite lines from Robin Hood Men in Tights is Dick Van Patten walking through the crowd, and everyone's saying, "Hello, Abbott," and he's saying, "Good morrow." Hey, Abbott, good morrow. And there's that one guy who says, hey, Abbott. And he goes, I hate that guy. I got to let you go, man.
All right, I'll talk to you.
There you got it. Hey, Abbott. I hate that guy. I love that movie. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night and pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here at 2 p.m.